Today, we're continuing our conversation into a topic that stirs up a lot of discomfort and maybe even some controversy. We're continuing our conversation on direct communication, specifically why being direct isn't rude, it's essential. So, whether you're someone who struggles with confrontation or someone who's been labeled too blunt, this second episode is also for you.
Welcome to Communication Skills for Working Women. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Rose May. Do you find yourself second guessing or avoiding conversations because you're worried about being misunderstood?
You're not alone. On this show, we're sharing tangible tools for assertiveness, emotional resilience, and real-life communication wins and fails.
Let's sharpen our communication together. So let's just recap. Last time we talked about 3 qualities to help develop directness in your communication: clarity, brevity, and respect, all around direct communication.
So we also mentioned the myth, right? It gets in the way of clear communication every day. This myth that the idea of being direct is inherently rude because the way many of us learned that we need to sugarcoat or downplay or avoid expressing what we're really feeling for the sake of being polite or kind. And here's the kicker, or even the truth. Kindness without clarity creates confusion, resentment, and even mistrust. And I'd like
Look
to
at
validate the fact that being indirect might feel safe in the moment. It
Mhm,
might feel good or comfortable in the moment, but it
mhm.
can leave the other person guessing, and it leads to miscommunication, and it leads to unmet needs on our end. I said this
Absolutely.
last time. Brene Brown says it best: clear is kind, unclear is unkind.
Yes. And I just have to give a shout out to you for that alliteration. Kindness without clarity can create confusion. I
Thank
was
you.
feeling
Thank
that.
you very
Yes,
much.
you're welcome. So I'm gonna tell you guys a story, right? And I'm gonna tell you this is it's a real story. I'm gonna try really hard to be respectful of people in the story. But I just want to share this to hopefully illustrate a little bit of what we're discussing, the difficulty, and why it's important to do it anyway. So one of the reasons that I think direct communication has come up so frequently for me in my life is as I've talked to many people, I've recognized that a lot of our direct communication, there's so many different avenues and exchanges and interactions that we have in terms of communicating with people all day, but one of the ones that I think one of the interactions that I've had that's been the most poignant was speaking to a friend about her relationships and like communication in her relationships. So personal relationships, relationships with people that she's had for years. And this story is actually about a coworker that who I've worked with for years. I think this is where it actually becomes some of the most difficult sometimes, but I have a coworker who I have several coworkers actually who can be pretty insensitive and can speak pretty derogatorily of many marginalized populations, of
Mhm.
different groups of people. It's really, really difficult to consistently be around that in a work environment, 8 or 9 hours a day, however many hours a day, every single day, and you're constantly being, bombarded or thwarted, or these kinds of come up in very passive aggressive ways. It's really taxing, emotionally taxing, and I think that we started out as friends, and I just realized that, it's one thing to have to be in a work environment and have to to hear these kind of comments as they come out ignorantly, maybe unbeknownst to these individuals. But then also to have a friendship with this person, it just felt I felt really uncomfortable about it. And I realized that one of the things that I needed to do was to step back from the friendship because I felt like I'm already being bombarded by this at work. I don't know that I want this in my personal life as well. I don't know that I want this to be a part of my regular everyday life. Again, thinking about being a Black person in Utah, like this is my experience every day. And so adding to that did not seem to be, it seemed to be more harmful than helpful for me. So I actually expressed my opinions to this person. I said, hey, look, I need to back away from this friendship. This is not something that is uplifting for me. This is not something that is helpful for me right now. This is not something that brings me joy into my life, and I need to step away from it. And I'm happy, to engage as coworkers or colleagues. And I still see this. I see this person every day. I saw this person every day after that, right? But it wasn't. It did not feel good. It felt very emotionally taxing and stressful, and that was a difficult conversation because, for many reasons, again, like, having a relationship with this person for years, but also I had these questions circulating, like, what are people going to think about, me cutting off this friendship? Because there's this idea that because we're coworkers or because we're colleagues, we all need to be best friends, right? That's kind of the culture that is created in many places, and especially here sometimes. And so I was worried about that. I was worried about how it would be perceived. I was worried about how it would be received by this individual. There was a lot going on, a lot. And so it was a very difficult thing to do. And for me, it was very important. Like we talked about in the last episode, the way that we speak directly can teach people how to engage with us. And that actually taught me something that day, that this is it's very important for me to be clear so others know how to engage with me. And again, created a lot of anxiety, even still some anxiety as I'm not even sharing all the details. Like none of the I'm not no, I'm just barely sharing any details, but still really creates a lot of emotion. It stirs a lot of emotion inside me. And so yes, it's difficult and it's important and it feels good to be clear about the way that we speak.
Right. Even when it's hard, you still need to do it, right?
Yeah,
And something I think that's really important to consider is that being direct is a skill.
absolutely.
It's not, you know, sometimes we think, oh, that direct person, oh, she's so direct, or oh, he's
Yeah,
so direct. We say it
yeah,
almost like in a rude, like we're saying, like, actually, they're kind of rude, but we're
yeah,
saying they're so direct. But
right.
when someone's like truly direct, they've refined this skill. It's something that
Yes,
can be learned and it can be practiced. And it
yes,
might feel a little uncomfortable, especially if you're taught to be nice or quote unquote kind
yes.
above all else. It may feel a little bit like you're like rubbing sandpaper on your arm.
Mm-hmm.
and and you can get more comfortable with it as you practice. And you can be direct and be compassionate all at the same time.
Yes,
So it's
absolutely.
really important to get clear about your message. So this is a tactical thing to think about, right? Get clear. We talked about clarity in the last one. How do you get clear? You ask yourself, what do I really want to say? Or what do I really need right now? So, Rosemary, in your example that you shared, you knew that you needed a change in the relationship, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
So you were very clear what you needed
Yes.
and you identified the core message before you spoke with that person.
Yes.
You
I
knew,
did.
yeah,
I took some time to think about it. That was a conversation that required some time to think about. I don't know that I could have done that on the spot, and I think that that's something to expect and to think about too, is just that, you don't always have to respond immediately. You can take some time
yes.
to think about and to get clear on the message that you would like to send.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that you don't have to respond immediately. And we'll get
Uh-uh.
into more skills later. And just right now, you just simply say if you're having a conversation with someone and you're maybe having some type of response and you're going, "Oh," like you're having more of an emotional response than maybe you want to, you can stop and say, "Can I get back to you on that?" Or "I need to
Absolutely.
take some time and get back to you on that."
Hmm.
And
Or even
so,
like, I'm not sure. I'm going to take a few minutes to think about that and then I'll get back to you. Like, it's okay to even say, like, I'm not sure right now. I don't know how I feel about this right now. We were just, we were just presenting at a conference and someone actually said that in a very heated exchange that took place. Like, I don't know how I feel about that. I need to step back for just a second and come back to the conversation. And it was a great way to not only like diffuse and de-escalate, but also to give everyone a moment to get clear about what they really wanted to say.
yeah. It's an important skill to get clear on your message.
Yeah.
And whether you're at a conference having a heated conversation with a coworker, or you're even wanting to clearly communicate with a doctor or someone who's coming to do work on your house, or the
Hmm.
person you want to have change your oil in your car.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
being clear on your message is so important. And guess what? You can practice this all the time and your message will still be misunderstood.
Absolutely.
And so it is something that you will work on for the rest of your life,
Hmm.
is getting clear.
Hmm.
So another thing to consider: speak simply and honestly. Use direct language. Don't hint about it. Don't beat around the bush. Use I statements and share your perspective. I'd prefer. I would like to. This is how I see it. From my perspective, I understand it this way. So speak simply and honestly. And when you're clear on your message, you can speak simply and honestly.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that you aren't open to hearing someone else's feedback or open to hearing what others are thinking, right? You're speaking clearly. And so I wanted to add that in because sometimes oftentimes I'll hear people say, well, if I'm just saying I am being selfish, and that's not actually what's happening here. What you're doing is just speaking from your own experience and being open to someone else's experience. Maybe they see it differently, right? Maybe they prefer to do something different, whatever it is. You can be open and speak clearly and honestly at the same time.
And when you're using I statements, it it al- it alleviates pressure. It
Hmm.
puts people at ease,
Yeah.
because when you're saying, "Well, what do you think?" You know,
Yeah.
"Well, you see it this way," or you're making assumptions, you just immediately can turn a situation into a little more tense. But if you're saying, "This is how I view it. Can you share with me, you know, a different perspective?"
Yeah.
It changes everything.
Yes.
So, and the last thing we want to talk about is delivering with respect. Use a calm, grounded voice. Be honest, be clear. That is kindness. Practice your voice and try it again and try it again until you believe what you're saying. Now, this can be applied to giving presentations, having a
Yeah.
difficult conversation with somebody at work, talking
Yeah.
to your children, talking to your spouse, dealing
Hmm.
with teachers at school. I mean, this goes everywhere. The delivering with respect and the practicing. Practice. Use your phone, talk into your phone back.
Hmm.
Did I sound confident? Did I sound calm? I clear? Was I did I speak simply? There's value in practicing.
And don't be afraid to fail. Like, no one woke up being a great communicator, right? Again, there are so many things that impact and influence the way that we communicate and the way that we receive communication. Not only are we talking about, the clarity and the brevity and the tone of our voice, but body language too, right? And so
Hmm.
just recognizing that it's not always going to be perfect. This is a trial and error. It is, and you're going to have to maybe alter the way that you speak depending on who you're speaking with, right? And so just recognizing that, yeah, we're going to fail sometimes, and that's okay. Expect and manage that discomfort, right? It's going to be awkward. It's going to feel deflating sometimes. And that's okay. Discomfort is part of growth. It's not a sign to retreat, it's a sign to keep moving forward, making adjustments, right? And recognizing those wins, being able to reflect afterwards, and just thinking, did I express myself clearly? How did that feel? When I use these specific words, I didn't feel like I was honoring myself. Maybe it would be better to use these words so that I feel like I really truly am expressing myself in the way that I want to. So just being able to take those wins and take those fails as they come can really help us refine our skills and build our confidence. So here's your challenge for the week. Choose one situation, just one, where you've been vague or avoidant, and get clear. Maybe it's an email you've been avoiding, which email is great practice because you don't have to send it immediately. You can even undo send for the first like 10 seconds. So that's a great place to start. Maybe it's an email you've been avoiding or a friend that you need to be honest with, and just asking yourself, what do I really want to say? What's stopping me? And if you're having difficulty nailing that down, we do offer coaching sessions. You can direct message us on Instagram at Communication Skills for Women. But how can I say it with clarity and kindness and respect? And then just say it, right? So start small, practice naming your needs in these low stakes situations. Maybe it's with a doctor, maybe it's the receptionist at the doctor's office, right? So if even the doctor feels a little bit intimidating, maybe it's even the receptionist. But just try these low stakes situations where we're replacing things like, I don't know, whatever works for you, to, you know what, this day works better for me. Does that work for you? And you'll just be amazed at how often people really begin to appreciate the clarity with which you are speaking.
I completely agree. That clarity will change your life. People will be so, so grateful. It's so important to remember that this direct communication isn't cold, it isn't rude, but it's really actually courageous, and really it connects us to one another. And we are filled with so many different messages coming at us all the time in this world. And we're deciphering so many things all of the time. It's
Hmm.
really nice to just get a direct message. This is what I need. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was really, really wonderful to be with all of you today. We'd love to hear from you on Instagram at Communication Skills for Women. And remember to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who needs to hear this.
Until next time, speak clearly and listen bravely. When you feel confident in your communication, everything changes.
We'd love to hear your wins, failures, and insights on Instagram at Communication Skills for Women. Leave a review and connect with us.
Until next time, speak clearly and listen bravely.